Follow your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do things with passion.
Yeah.
Don't do things for a payroll. Don't do things for... Just do things what you really love.
Welcome to Island Influencers, where we share stories of successful business owners, experienced professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders based or with influence in the Isle of Man. This podcast is brought to you by Thornton Chartered Financial Planners, because great financial planning has the power to change your life. Now here's your host, Sharon Sutton.
Welcome to episode 104 of Island Influencers. Today, we delve into the captivating life story of Jeroen Wats, a remarkable island influencer and inventor whose lifelong passion for the sea has shaped his life. Learn about his pivotal moment in 2003 when his team won the transatlantic yacht race from Cape Town to Rio de Janeiro, covering staggering 4,000 nautical miles in 20 days and raising considerable money for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. Fueled by a passion for sustainability, Jeroen has shifted gears, transitioning from boat production to pioneering recyclable materials for wind turbines. In this episode, we unravel his commitment to positive environmental impact. Despite living in 6 countries, Jeroen discovered an unexpected connection with the Isle of Man. And what began as a single-day visit became a life-changing decision to call the island home. He seamlessly integrates into the community, bringing diverse experiences, knowledge, and a passion for environmentalism. I hope you find our conversation as enjoyable and enriching as I did. Here is episode 104 with Jeroen Wats, Chief Innovation Officer at Exo Technologies. And before we go, just to remind you, Island Influencers is a fortnightly podcast, so make sure you catch the next episode by clicking the follow button on your podcast platform. And it really helps the visibility of the podcast if you please subscribe and leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. It'll help others find the show. Thank you. Welcome to Island Influencers, Jeroen. It's really cool to meet you here today.
Thank you.
And thank you. I've been doing a bit of internet stalking. Obviously, when you sent me a little bit of information, so of course I had to go digging. So
yeah,
what a fascinating story I find. So
thank you.
It would be really great if you wouldn't mind telling our listeners all about you, where you come from, which clearly isn't. It's not really local, I would say, from a slight accent. So where were you born?
I'm born, funny enough, on an island in the Netherlands. So I'm a real islander.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I believe that you grew up there, and
yes.
So what did your parents do?
Well, my mother has been a kindergarten teacher for 40 years. She's a long time retired right now. My father was an engineer, more into the naval sector. So, and I was basically always very fascinated about sailing. From very young, my grandparents lived on a lake. In a beautiful old house, and they lived there their entire life. So they turned it very old as well. But as a little boy, I always looked outside of the window and saw all these sailing boats going out, and I thought that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So what did you start sailing in?
Start sailing when I was 5, and on a little dinghy, and grew from little boats to slightly bigger boats still.
And what sort was that a gradual journey? Because as you grow, I suppose your strength it increases, and you can control bigger boats as you get.
Yes, exactly.
Larger.
I remember when I was really young that the boat was much more overpowered to my weight. Yeah. So you need to balance the boat as well with your own weight. These little dinghies. But it was fascinating because you learn a lot. Not at the time you're doing it, you just do it because you love it. But when you look back in time, how much it brought you and how far it brought you, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I can see that in the blog that you wrote. It's almost like sailing's a great analogy for life in so many ways.
In many things. There was as well sometimes where I was asked to explain, let's say, how it is on a sailing boat when it go later to kill boats on offshore and ocean and so on. And how you create a winning team and how you implement that in a company, for example, because there's so much synergies there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So we're back to 5-year-old you grew up. In Holland, and went to school there. Went to university, presumably?
No, not even. No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, it's okay. Neither did I.
No. I was always chronically curious, but everything was not school. It's very. at this moment, I do a lot of keynotes or lectures, for example, do the KWC, because it's very important to be inspired. And I didn't find school very inspiring. The moment I have my eyes on a subject I really like, I sponge it up.
Yeah.
And for the rest, you just can tell me everything which is dry. I just just better go to my boat.
Yeah. So it was really something really vocational caught your, and that was sailing for you.
Sailing, yeah.
Yeah. So how did you take it further into a career?
Yeah, well, I was working in corporate at a certain point, and that's what I never liked. Well, there was a lot of things I don't like. My first job, funny enough, that was at Land Rover cars.
Yes, I read that on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, and Land Rover was for me always as a kid. I always loved Range Rovers, so I loved them. And so I sent a letter to Land Rover. I thought I want to work there, and they sent my letter back like, with your school history, forget it.
Yeah.
And so that was funny because with my sister, who's 2 years older, we went to a very cheap shop to buy a suit because I didn't have one, and still not have one either right now, but that's another story. But so I went there and said, well, you send my letter back, and it was in the Netherlands. And why did you send my letter back? You didn't give me 20 minutes to explain what I want to do. And they hired me. They thought it was kind of courageous. Well, we give you 3 months. And that was a long time when I worked there.
Gosh, wow, that just shows you.
Yeah,
that's
and when I look back at time,
initiative.
The salary was horrible, and you had to work 6-7 days a week sometimes with shows and introductions of a new Land Rover Defender or Discovery or something. But there was so much passion, there was so much fun working there. And still look back in time, I think, well, that's still I'm in contact with my old colleagues from that time.
Well, that tells you something.
Yeah.
So
that was always something. When I went to corporate, that was very financial driven, which is clear. We in a company, you need to make profit and everybody has to work hard. But everybody worked there for a salary and for their bonus. And so you drag on. And at a certain point at the end of the year said, Jeroen, well done, next year plus 10% based on what I really work really hard. And then the moment came that with a couple of friends, that was in 2000, we were at the start of the Cape to Rio ocean race, Cape Town to Rio de Janeiro. I was in Cape Town visiting a friend and he said, next year we have to do this kind of thing because it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
I said, well, deal, let's do it. So there's 3 years to go. So there's not so much of time because it's in land miles, it's 5,000 miles or 4,000 sea miles. And
that's a long way.
A long way on wind.
Yeah. And had you done anything like that before?
Never.
Right. So that's
never
quite a leap of faith.
Yeah, that's scary in a way.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, think, well, just only live once. So I said to my boss at that time, I said, well, I need some holiday off. I need some time off. I said, well, how long do you need? I said, I don't know.
6 months?
Yeah, I said, I don't know. If there's a lot of wind, I'm back very quick. And if there's no wind, it can take a little bit longer. I said, well, this is not possible. And this and this. At the end, they let me go. And so I built up this whole, with a team. Basically, everybody was unpaid. So I paid it myself. The yacht was sponsored. So there was a company who sponsored the yacht. So you can use the yacht as long as you win. Can you win? I said, well, sure, we can win. Never did before.
Yeah.
You say yes, when you have the opportunity to get things for free. It's fine, is it? So we bonded this with a campaign around it. And that was actually the first in the sailing industry, in the history of sailing sports, where we said, okay, we don't need the money. We're all having jobs. We all have a salary. This is basically sort of adventure holiday. Why don't we combine this whole campaign with fundraising? So we started a fundraising campaign in, 2002, so a long time ago. And we donated all the money, 100% of the money we donated to the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. And at that point, we handed over a check of over €200,000 to the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund.
That's very impressive. That's a lot of money.
And 2002, that's almost 24 years ago. Yeah, 23, 24, yeah. Yeah, it's a long time ago. But
how did you get such big sponsorship? Did you have any particular strategy to go and get it? Or
yeah, well, I did it together. I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, the South African Dutch Chamber of Commerce, because they have, let's say, companies who are both depending on South Africa and the Netherlands. So KLM, for example, has big lines flying to. So KLM was a sponsor. So that actually went really quick. And the moment you go to the press and everything, that went really fast. And funny enough, we started the race really bad because we had a crash at the start. Before the start, luckily, because after the start you cannot repair your boat. So that paid out very well because everybody was already going to Rio. We were fixing a boat. And so we took risks. Because, well, we have nothing to lose.
You're well behind, yes.
Yeah, you're behind anyway.
So how much of a delay did it cause you?
About 10 hours.
Okay,
which is not tremendous on this whole trip, but still.
No, but...
Yeah, so we took gambles and played with weather systems and did basically in land miles, because sea miles is for me more clear, but land miles, let's about 500-600 miles, we did more than the rest to pass a high pressure zone, because all the yachts were going into high pressure. Well, that's basically here when there's high pressure, there's no wind, beautiful weather. Yeah. No. So we sailed all around the high pressure. And it was in the newspaper funny because we followed first the coast up to Angola, and the newspaper were writing that the Dutch guys are going home because we're going straight up north.
Yeah.
And we won the race.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That just shows you about yachting, doesn't it? There's, you've got so many variables that...
Yeah, it's playing chess in a way. Yeah. It's But I think individually we were not the best sailors in the world. We're still not. But what is the factor what is binding and what makes teams win, both for corporate or companies or name it, in anything you do, is to have a team with the right person on the right job, involve them in your mission, make them part of your passion, celebrate milestones, small little things, which makes a team a winning team. Yeah,
that's very profound. Yeah, thank you. And for yourself, you had some inspiration, I guess, because there's a from doing a bit of reading, you said you're inspired by Connie van Rietschoten.
Rietschoten, yeah, Connie van Rietschoten.
Yeah, the only guy to ever win the Whitbread around the world race.
Exactly.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, on the flyer, a Dutchman. Yeah. Very inspirational person for me my entire life. I remember he had the Amsterdam boat show. And I always went there as a boy with the train and a little backpack with peanut butter sandwiches. And the flyer was there exposed. It was on the exhibition. And I remember as a kid, for me, there was a sort of moment to touch it. To touch that yacht was amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
So fast forward, how did you get from doing that and working for Jaguar Land Rover? Mm-hmm. What happened next to bring you to the point in which you get into your career now?
Well, Jaguar Land Rover was a great job. Loved it, but the corporate job I did after was horrible. Even if they tripled my salary, I wouldn't go back. But what inspired me basically when I won the race is to start to develop racing yachts. Okay. And so, because people said to me, can you do it again? Do you want to do it again? I said, well, 20 days. It took us 20 days. We won, but 20 days is very long. There's basically two interesting parts of the race. It's the start and the finish, and everything in between is not very comfortable.
Yeah, sure.
So then we did it again, and we so basically developed a yacht with an architect with all the ideas you build up over the years, and as well doing a transatlantic to say, well, this makes the boat slower. We need to make the keel deeper. We need to make the mast higher. We need to make the sails different, and that did it again and won it in 16 days, and that's a record which still stands today for yachts under 40 foot. Yeah,
and the rules of how you build it, is it just the length that you have to abide by, or there are lots of other things you can play with?
Yeah, the length helps because the longer the yacht, the quicker it is. But still, then you run on budgets as well because you don't want to do it with a bank. You want to be stubborn. You want to do it yourself. So the boat was in my development plan. It was every week it went a meter shorter.
Gosh,
but yeah.
It's funny. I suppose that you see it in many walks of life. British cycling is one. You see that the will to win, the competition element, what drives innovation. Is that kind of what you found in your
I think it's the innovation part is one thing that it's always been triggering me. Even when I was a little boy on the lake, I always tweaked and tuned everything to make the boat faster. Just you feel what you can change to make things better or faster or easier or name it. So this innovation scheme is always going what I always did in my life, actually, as well. When developing these racing yachts, at a certain point, I thought, okay, there was one boat of 8 meters. I thought, if you design it in such a way that you can put 2 in a container, you can ship 2 instantly to the Caribbean, for example. So we designed this whole boat in such a way that you can fold 2 boats in and put it in a container. Never done before. Yeah, so... Yeah,
is that opening up new markets?
That opens up new markets. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So what year was this that you?
That was in 2004.
Gosh, so you come a long way in a very short time to go from just racing to quitting the corporate job and building boats, racing yachts.
Well, basically, the to build a yacht, it's all learning, because and that's basically everything in life. And I see. For example, when you do something with a certain passion or belief, or you want to make a change, or you want to reach something, when your initial goal is to make a lot of money, you fail. Everybody I saw around who wants to do something like that, to say, well, we're going to develop a boat and this and this and this, and we failed. Right. Because they thought, well, every boat make so much money on it. Well, best of luck. Because it's not an easy road.
No, I'm sure. No. And I suppose... being racing yachts, so they're a certain niche market.
It's a very niche market, yeah. The weight is very crucial. Production methodologies are very crucial. One little mistake can have a catastrophe on the sea. So it's very detailed work, but I loved it.
Yeah. And how long did you stay at that?
15, 16 years, and then I stopped it.
Right. Yeah. So what happened to the company? Did you just leave it, walk away, sell it?
No, I sold it, and because basically, what the point is, when you build yachts, there's a massive problem around recyclability of them.
Okay. Yes.
And if you just figure out that just in Europe, 250,000 metric tons of fiberglass end in landfill. Every year, just Europe. So I stopped it. I thought, the moment you become aware of it, and the moment you become concerned about it, you cannot turn a blind eye anymore. You just cannot say, well, I'm living in my boy's dream and making all these yachts, and it's fantastic and nice and great team, lovely people, but still you just can't do it. I love sailing, but I love nature more. I stopped it and started to develop a material which is circular, repeatedly recyclable, and that works. I did a reading about that because I didn't know what it was, but perhaps for the benefit of our listeners, you could tell them what they could be. There's like 4 main types or something out there of this sort. You can do everything with it. So we can do wind energy. You can do with it the blades. For example, 43 million metric tons of wind turbine blades will enter landfill between today and 2050. Full of boric acids. It's already found in the food chain. Boric acid will find its way in drink water. Something you don't want. So from an ethical point of view, you just can't accept that.
So you've started making wind turbines of...
Not yet.
No.
We do now some projects to as proof of concept and patent it and do a lot of studies before. So it's quite a lot of work.
Sure. Yeah. And what's been the success so far? What's been the main use of it?
I cannot say yet.
Oh, okay.
I cannot say yet because there are some things happening, but
yeah. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, that's completely fine. It sounds so exciting. I mean, you just need to read about exotechnologies and the sort of things that you're doing in the, defense and space manufacturing area. It's fascinating. The people that you meet on the Isle of Man.
Yeah, it is funny, isn't it?
It really is.
But it's a great place to live.
Yes.
It's absolutely... This is the first... Actually, I lived in 6 countries right now. So I'm born in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Lived in South Africa, lived in Belgium, lived in France, lived in Spain. And here I'm home.
Yeah. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And I know you've spoken last week. I don't know when this podcast will go out, but for a timestamp, we're in November.
Yeah.
But you spoke last week at the Isle of Man Clean Tech and Energy Forum, which I believe was actually at St. John's Mill, which is great. Yeah. So what were you speaking about? What was the
mainly about, let's say, as well the sports. Let's say because I was the last speaker, so I wanted to tell a story about innovation, concerns, and steps you make towards solutions. Yeah. So that was more about it. So more addressing issues around wind, more addressing issues around yacht building and innovations to tackle these kind of issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And so you're the Chief Innovation Officer at Exo Technologies, and that's what you're doing today.
Yes.
So, well, that's amazing. When did you actually move to the Isle of Man? What year was that?
That was in the 4th of July, funny enough, 2020. And I decided to go.
That's in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, well, that's a funny story.
Well done, they let you in.
Well, that was the most difficult part because a friend of mine lives in London, and I was still living in Valencia, Spain, and I wanted to go because it makes no sense. Didn't build the boats anymore. Did this innovation of composite materials, started doing there. I thought, well, what am I doing here? I can barely walk my dogs here in the summer. It's so hot. So I left, and I was looking for something. And so I went to my friend in London, and I said, Charlie, why do you live in a place like this? It's horrible. I said, it's nice to visit London, but to live, that just drives you mad. And he said, I love it. I said, I lived on the Isle of Man. It was like not my thing. He said, but you will love it. So we took a flight. That was the 19th of November, 2019, just for a day. So we arrived around, 9:30 or something with EasyJet and left at 5. And the weather was horrible. It was foggy, rain.
Well done on coming that day, and well done EasyJet landed.
Yeah, exactly. That's already a challenge.
Yes.
But I loved it. I really, really loved it. The people are friendly, are polite. It's like the Netherlands 50 years ago. Well, I'm 53 now, so I don't recall. Well, 52, soon 53. But so basically, I decided to move here. What I've found weird is that I've never heard of it. And when I talk to people about it, for example, friends in Holland, Isle of what? Well, no idea what
Isle
it is.
of Wight, the
Isle of Wight.
normally think of,
Yeah, they think
especially with the yachting connection. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but Isle of Man, nobody heard of it. Maybe TT, but for the rest.
Yeah,
so,
Mark Cavendish, she rides a carbon fibre bike. It's probably not recyclable yet.
It's not recyclable, no.
Not yet.
No, it's downcyclable.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Ah, good. Well, so, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, and I always always ask people this in my day job as a financial planner, but so what were your earliest memories of money? I mean, I know you got a yacht, sailing a dinghy and that sort of thing, but what do you remember about, the money? How was money growing up? Do you recall much about it?
No, not really. I think, like I said, basically before, I'm not really impressed by money.
Yeah.
Not with people with a lot of money or people who have no money or really doesn't mind. I think success is for me more measured on the ability to share. That can be knowledge, that can be money, that can be whatever. So money for me is more is freedom. Let's say this.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
But back then, I suppose it's a question of balance. I suppose making sure, because sailing boats is not inexpensive. It's a costly sport.
Yeah, it is a very costly sport.
So it's just managing the budgets to make sure. I mean, it sounds like you were pretty good early on in being able to raise it and give it away. I mean, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So it's just, did you learn all that from your parents, do you think? Or
no, not actually, not at all.
Yeah.
So I hope my mum is not listening.
Yeah.
No, it's more about that when you were able to do this race, and you go to South Africa where 50% of the people are unemployed, people cannot go to school, and I'm there with all the luck. I screwed up my school literally, not later, but still, not screwed it up is a big word, but. And still, I can have all the possibilities I want to do because I'm born and raised in Western Europe. It's a privilege, sorry to say. And the moment you can make a change in somebody's life, when my salary is royally paid, when I was working in corporate and everybody had their jobs and nobody really needed it, it's always nice to have a little bit more, sure. But when it doesn't make a difference anymore, if you get 20 or 30 or whatever, how much you want, if that doesn't make your life different, then you better help somebody else. And from that point, I know for myself that if I would have hypothetically, I would have, let's say, £50 million. I wouldn't buy another car. I wouldn't buy other clothes. I wouldn't eat other food. So.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, good answer. Thank you. And of all the things you've done so far in your life, so far, what's given you the most fulfillment?
I think this is what I'm doing right now. Yeah. Because when I was building the yacht, I think there was a moment I was as well fed up with it. It sounds a little bit hard, but the nice thing about creating something is the creation and not... And when you created it, so it becomes an idea, it becomes a drawing, and the drawing becomes a mold, and the mold becomes a boat, and that starts to come alive, and then you put it in the water, and it sails, and it wins. It's great. And then you think, and there we go again. Serial production, building these things every single day. And that was as well, and then with all these problems with pollution, fiberglass, health and safety on the work floor. That just has to stop. And what I do right now gives me much more... Yeah, it's nice to work on global issues. There's a problem. Well, let's put my brain on this. I'm not brilliant in a lot of things, but that's something I know a lot about. And I think the smartest is what I do is that I know where I'm stupid. So, and that's a lot of things. Not everybody can be a talent on a lot of things.
No. Well, I don't think anybody can.
It's basically the same as when you race a boat. You need to have people who are at certain points on the yacht who are just better than you. Because I think better you do it yourself. In a company, the same.
Same, absolutely. Yeah.
You need people.
Hire people smarter than you.
I need people tell me what to do. If I have to tell people what to do, then you better do it yourself. And from that point, you create a sort of platform with people with shoulders on it, with the same beliefs in it. And you can reach very, very, very high.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, good. So, sounds very wise to me.
Oh, thank you.
And so for any aspiring or existing business owner, entrepreneur, community leader, what would be your number one tip for those people listening to this?
Heart.
Follow your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do things with passion.
Yeah.
Don't do things for a payroll. Don't do things just do things what you really love.
Yeah. I can see you're a living, breathing example of that.
Yeah. So it's not always easy, by the way.
No,
it's a difficult path. But the difficult paths are the most beautiful.
Love is hard. It's tough.
It's tough.
It really is.
It is. Yeah.
So what do you do to relax?
I walk my dog a lot.
You take lots of great photographs on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I wake up every morning, 5 o'clock. I wake up, or my dog wakes me up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I do already, at 5:30, I do already 5 miles. And see the sunrises or see the seals. Even when it rains, I don't mind. You see the skies. Or this morning was beautiful with the moon and Venus.
Wasn't it amazing?
Amazing. Beautiful morning.
Yeah, I saw that. We were 5 o'clock at the gym.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. So what I do to relax is wake up very early. I sleep very early, and the island gives me a lot of relaxation because you have so much beauty around here. I go to beaches, or you can go to the glens, or I go up to the north, or I go up to the south. I live in the south.
Yes. Do you live near the sea in the south?
Yes, I live in Caststown. So like a few minutes and I'm at the sea.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So is that the best thing about living in the Isle of Man, do you think? Or is it more the people, would you say?
Yeah, I think that living on the Isle of Man has a lot of things. I think first of all, it's the nature. Or maybe first of all, I think the people. I think it's such a nice place. I remember it was in July, I was in the Netherlands. It was a long time I hadn't been in the Netherlands for a wedding of my best friend. It was his first wedding, so that was nice to be there.
Yeah.
And I like to be in the Netherlands for 5 days, and I was so happy to go back. And the moment I was driving back and I saw the boat, I thought, I'm going home. I'm actually going home. Even my dog starts to recognize the moment you drive off the boat. She's like, she's sitting up.
Yeah, nice.
And it's a great place.
Yeah, it is.
You need to get off sometimes. That's the thing. If you stay too long.
Yes, especially sometimes in the winter. I think going to some sunshine is good. Yeah. Whether it's in the mountains or wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's a beautiful place. It's safe. My doors are never locked. People are friendly. Yeah,
we didn't give out your address, just saying. So. Okay, no, very good. Yeah. And what about the main challenges? Have you found any challenges that the Isle of Man has that, that what would be the ones that you would you would say?
Oh, that's a difficult question. It's a very good question. I have so much ideas of what I would do with the island.
Well, great. I mean, you tell us what the challenges are and then the opportunities.
The challenges, and it sounds critical, that's not. Because let me say first, after living in southern France and Spain, people complain about this government. They should live there for 3-4 months and they will cry back on their knees to come back to this island because it just simply works very well. If you make a call, you don't get a call center on the phone, so somebody picks up the phone within a minute. What I think it's a missed opportunity, let's point it that direction, because I'm Dutch and Dutch is very direct, so I need to be a little bit careful.
Direct is good.
Is that it's not a progressive thinking way. For example, for me, on the Isle of Man, never heard of it before I came here. Never heard of it. Traveled around the world. I've been every single corner of the world. Isle of Man, never heard of it. How is that possible? When I talk to friends, where are you going to live? Isle of Man. What? Nobody heard of it. And I think we have such a unique place here as a UNESCO biosphere, for example, that is, and funny enough, I had a meeting, that's why I was late, sorry for that, with people from the government. And I said, well, this could be an inspiration to make the island, let's say, the Silicon Valley of green tech. We are a biosphere, we have a great tech system, we have a great government, we got great support schemes, and nobody knows about it.
Yeah, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, I think for the future, looking to the future, and I'm not a politician, so I need to be careful what I say, but I think we are having the gaming industry, which is, in my opinion, it's my personal opinion, is not a very ethical business. I don't say that you have to stop it, but it has an expiry date. For example, the Netherlands will be forbidden for a lot of problems caused by it. So you can cut it out if you want.
No.
Well, but I think I don't think we have to stop it. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I think we have to look much more to the future. There is so much ESG investors and green tech innovators who look, because we have here everything, which is, let's say, can be as a breeding ground to grow business on. Yeah,
plenty of open space.
Yeah. And smart brains bring more brain power in, and
there are a lot of smart people here already. I mean, you find the spin-off from gaming. I think there's a lot of bright people come from that and gone off and to do other things, which is wonderful to see. And invest in the community. Which,
I'm not against it. But I think you need to make a plan for the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And be more diverse. Yeah, but that's great. So how would you market it better? What would you do?
Well, what I don't see marketed well, but I'm not a marketer. I'm a tech geek. Let me face this. But
what do tech geeks want to see?
First of all, from a non-marketing man perspective, let's say this. Yeah. I think we have UNESCO. That's a proper brand, is it? And we are the only global biosphere. Why don't we spread that out? Why don't we use, for example, when people make comments on social media, for example, and they say, well, why do we like this and this and this? And I think, well, this island can serve as an inspiration, as a little island with 85,000 people, how we're doing it. It's brilliant what we're doing here. Show the world what we do here, that it's possible. Just use it as an inspiration so people come to the island and maybe invest or work or bring knowledge over things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Probably not first, but anyway, you've heard it here. So Jeroen, I mean, obviously you said about things that you can't say, things are in development, but, I guess that's what you've got planned next.
Yes.
So anything... When will you be able to announce what that is? When are you hoping for?
I hope January. Yeah, January, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, which year?
Next year.
Okay.
Next year. So
perfect.
It's a few months.
Yeah, okay. Quick, Well, this podcast will probably go out around about that time. So maybe we can put a little update at the time.
If I have news, I will let you know.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Maybe put some things in.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, onto a few fun things. I just ask every guest at the end. Yeah. So, any books that you've read or podcasts that you listen to, sources of entertainment, inspiration, relaxation that you would recommend?
For me, it's more music.
Okay. What sort of music? And what specifically?
It's funny. It's a good question. I listen mainly to very sad music. Well, it's not sad music, but very acoustic.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is almost like dramatic in a way.
What,
which makes me
classical music or
no more like how do you say it? Not classic, but more
Barclay's James Harvest, stuff like that.
Alternative kind of calm music, like piano, guitar, calm, dramatic text. Makes me actually very happy.
Good.
It sounds weird, but it brings you back to your inner self when you just stream on and do all your things.
Yeah. And any favourite composer or?
Well, definitely Emmett Tinley.
Emmett Tinley.
Emmett Tinley. Yeah, he's very unknown. He was actually, hope he listens then. He called me on my birthday once. I was in the Netherlands. I was with my sister, and he called me. And it's like God called me. It was like amazing.
Yeah, I've got music heroes like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that actually it just relaxed me a lot.
Yeah.
I don't have a TV. Don't. I cook every day fresh. After work, I go for a long walk with my dog.
Yeah.
And then I cook fresh, every day fresh. Put some music on.
Favorite food?
It can be anything. Depends really on my mood.
Yeah, and what's fresh?
Yeah, what's fresh? Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant.
So I cook basically everything, but it's in the summer it's different than in the winter.
Yeah.
In the summer, after a walk, you take an ice cold beer, and now you open a glass of red wine, for example.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. So, who inspires you?
God, that's a good question. There's not people inspiring me at this moment anymore. But who inspired me before was, let's say, Connie Verrietschoten a lot, because I thought he was courageous and he just did things and did cool things and brilliant things. For the rest later, basically my grandmother always said, never look up and never look down to people. I have a lot of respect for people, what they achieve in life, but it can be anyone.
That's lovely, and it's so good to say.
Yeah, that can be from somebody picking up trash from voluntarily for the beach buddies till the vice president of Shell, or I really don't care.
Yeah, no, good answer. Thank you very much. And have you got a favourite quote that you would use?
A favourite quote? That's as well a good question. I always say, and that was something which trembled basically throughout my life, is the ones who say you can't are the reasons why you should.
Yeah, that's very good.
And my sister was really good at it, because my sister is less courageous than I am, because I'm very passionate and driven and just jump into things. My sister is more conservative, and she always says, you can't do that. And I said, oh, yes, I can.
Yeah.
So when people keep on saying that I can't do it, like my father said it at a certain point when I was doing a transatlantic race, the first one, he said, you can't do that, you will die.
He's just worried about you.
Yeah. I think he was not so worried about me, I think. But I think he knew that I was capable of doing it, but he thought, this is too much, you can't do this. And that's for me, like, now I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a red rag to a bull, actually.
Sort of, yeah. In a way it does, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Mm-hmm. So finally then, where can people go to learn all about you? I found your LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. Where else would you point us towards? We can put your Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is mainly, but I don't post so much. Just sunrises, seals, my dog sometimes.
Beautiful.
My professional work is on LinkedIn and Facebook. I keep pretty close.
Okay.
So,
we'll put those links in the show notes so that our listeners can find you and look up.
Thank you.
Well, look, thank you so much, Jeroen, for coming along. And
sorry I was late.
Not at all. It's fine. It's a Friday afternoon, so all good with me.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks for listening this far. I hope you found this episode to be valuable. If so, I'd like to ask you for a small favour. Would you please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review, because that's one of the best ways for others to find the series, and please send a link to the podcast to 3 friends or colleagues who know they'll find it helpful. That way, we can spread the word about how great a place the Isle of Man is to live and work, and help spread some positivity. Thanks again for tuning in and being part of our great community. I'll see you next time. Island Influencers is a fortnightly podcast. Make sure you don't miss the next episode by clicking the follow button on your podcast platform. A big thanks to the producer Jeroen Wats from Social Cues and editor Martin Bamford at Bear Content, and thank you for listening.